Hi, this is Osman. I'm a yoga and meditation teacher, energy healer, and an entrepreneur. Be sure to visit my website, yogawellness786.com, and where you can get exposure to, current day trending subjects and topics that can be solutions to your everyday current problems from an integrated approach of modern scientific research findings together with the ancient sciences, and which has been recently very popular and trending amongst my followers. So I feel you will benefit greatly from visiting the site and reading these articles, or even subscribing to my mail list. And also remember that we apply therapies that are based on ancient sciences as well as natural, 100% natural therapies, but not a replacement for medical treatment. If you have a medical condition, please seek the consultation or the advice of a qualified and licensed medical professional in your locality. Okay, so today I want to discuss the yoga and meditation perspective on parenting and how should one parent children, and should you follow spare the rod and spoil the child principle, or should you never be never be physically aggressive to them, or don't should you beat your children or should you beat your children, and depending on the country you come from, it is against the law in most countries to beat children, right? But I would say the big problem is not a discussion in our current day of evolution on whether we should beat children or not, is how we should speak to children, because more harmful than, and I'm not encouraging beating, right? But more harmful than beating is to talk harshly to them. You must know how to talk and explain, talk in a manner that's not destroying their self-esteem. Don't say you are useless, you are nothing, and you are, you are a lump of, dung, or you are, a monkey, you're a donkey. Don't use, terminologies like that on impressionable minds, right? From a yoga meditation perspective, you are practicing yoga and meditation to become more centered, more calm, more alpha state, more together, and a better, mentor and example to your children, where you try to, of course, you're human, you're going to have your stresses and your, your off days, but try to control it and not express it in front of your children. If you're going to have an argument with anyone or your spouse, don't do it in front of them, and try to avoid arguments, to take this away from children. Try to reduce their exposure to traumatic, interactions, right? And parenting approach should be something that is like an advisor, and like a coach, and in a manner that's going to be interesting, that they could relate to and understand why something is harmful for them. Yes, children can be ADHD and really can be very aggressive and can be a huge problem in your life, but when you address them with love. So a very good example would be my mom, who was seen as a very leadership role, a leader in my community, and in the street in which we lived. There were children that were out of control, and their parents used to send those children to my mom, for my mom to speak to them, because they felt that my mom would be able to put them right. And But the way in which my mom used to speak to the most mischief and the most aggressive, and you could say, really, if there's someone that is so irritable and so mischief and doing the worst possible things, and setting things on fire under the bed, and throwing sand into the food, and that kind of pranks that are really out of hand, children sent to my mom. The way she used to speak to them was with so much of love. They felt loved, and they respected my mom. And my mom said, "Don't do this, and don't, it's not good." And and they used to come right, and they used to change, and they improved a lot, and they become well-rounded adults. I saw these children growing up and becoming adults, becoming well-rounded and balanced adults, as opposed to becoming criminals and drug addicts. right? And so the important part in parenting is love, and using yoga and meditation as a tool for yourself to develop, your centeredness, and to develop your connection with love, right, within yourself, and peace within yourself, to anchor yourself. It's all the more important, the practice of yoga and meditation as a parent, for bringing improvement into your own self and control into your own self, that you can represent the example of love and calmness in a calm way, not to get aggressive. Why on earth would you do a stupid thing like that? Don't talk like that. Say, oh, this is not really good, and usually this is something that people dislike a lot if you do keep doing things like this, and explain why. So with my current adult children, they've grown up into adults, and when they were growing up, I used to explain things in detail and never used to scream at them by default, not scream at them. Yes, I was stern with them, at times, to bring them in line. But more often than not, 99% of the time, go into very in-depth answers as to why what they were doing was wrong. On average, spending between an hour to an hour and a half explaining why that particular action is wrong. So much so that they used to get, we had to do so many activities, and we had to go back into the car, we had to travel, and that discussion is still carrying on from the incident that happened at home. And the journey in the car is ended, and they used to get fed up and said, oh, Dad, we understand, okay, we understand, but in a nice way, and explaining it so much in depth that they don't want to do that again, because it's going to mean I'm going to go through the discussion all over again. And I never used to get tired to discuss the same subject over and over and over again, trying to spend about 90 minutes until they're tired of hearing it. But in a nice explanatory, until they don't want to hear it. If they're irritable, they say, okay, they got it, they got the point. Because very often they were very interested, because I used to attach stories to it, examples of how there were incidents in my growing up, and why it's wrong and why it's right, and how it will harm them and how it will benefit them, in a story manner. When you explain things in a story form, children like stories, right? So explain it in that way, and explain it gently, explain it with a gentle tone of voice. And you can only have the gentle tone of voice if you have gentleness, calmness, and love inside you that you develop. And yoga and meditation is a tool that develops this quality in you. It's all the more important for you to focus on yoga and meditation if you have children, because you have a responsibility. You're bringing a new generation into the world, and you're going to be an influencer, whether that person going to end up being a positive influence on the planet, or a negative influence on the planet. So of course you can't control everything, because they are going to be exposed to environment and the society, but you can do your best within what you can. Okay, so be sure to visit my website, yogawellness786.com, and take care of yourself always.